Mike McCool. I'm in the Royal Examiner studio, and with me today is some lovely people, and Krista, Rodney, Tina, and they're with the Warren County School System, and we're going to talk about a new program with the title of Project Courage. Now, I absolutely know nothing about this, so I'm really going to be learning along with everyone else. So, Krista, why don't you go ahead and get us started and talk about and tell us what we're going to talk about.
Sure. So the Warren County Public Schools came to the Warren Coalition, I'm the director at the Warren Coalition, and asked about a collaboration to help support kids who have experienced trauma in their lives. And from that, we have applied for a grant and received a 2-year grant to fund a Project Courage. And Courage stands for Creating Opportunities for Understanding and Resilience Amid Gaining Our Education. So we are trying to, hence Courage,
Yes.
we are trying to help children who've had some struggles and some difficulties early on, giving them some support. And research has shown that kids who have 3 supportive adults in their lives, even if they've had a difficult start, are much more likely to be able to bounce back from that and be successful.
Exactly.
So one of the things the coalition has looked at, we've been looking since 2011 at a mentoring program, and we've really wanted to get one going here in Warren County. And with Big Brothers and Big Sisters, we started there, then them closing out. We encountered Tina and Rodney, who founded the I'm Just Me movement. It's a mentoring program that exists in the Winchester area. And they started partnering with us last year doing Project Positive at our MORE program, the after school program.
Right.
And then when this came along, I'm like, oh, have I got an opportunity for you? We'd really like to have you guys join in, help provide mentors for every child who's referred to Project Courage as another support system for them. And on the coalition side, we've hired a behavioral health coach, and that person's job is to interact with the student and their teachers to try to help support them as best they can in the classroom and make the child be successful there. And then we have another support system, which is, so if the children are experiencing anger, anxiety, or depression, or any of those, they have another person in our office who helps support them through that and teach them some strategies to deal with that. And then Tina and Rodney are going to be training our mentors, and so I'll let them tell you a little bit about how that
If it's anything
works.
like the MORE program, that's a great program. My grandson went to that, and he loved it.
Absolutely.
Loved it. Really
we had
loved
37 students that we were able to positively impact through Project Positive last year, or Project Positive, which is a student-led project that the MORE students created. So this year we're excited to join again in our ability and opportunity to really impact kids that are dealing with trauma. Rodney and I both were children that grew up in adverse childhood experiences. I lost my father to a drug overdose when I was 8, and my mom continued to drink to deal with that. We had a lot going on in our homes, but because of a mentor and a teacher that showed some interest, that showed me that I could be something more than what I even saw myself, it made the biggest difference. So I and the mentors that we bring on will be able to be those positive forces in the lives of kids that experience trauma, and it does make a difference.
It's kind of like an extended family, in a way. I mean, it's a person they can count on.
Yes.
Sometimes their family members aren't very good family members.
Mm-hmm. Or the family members are equally traumatized themselves, which is why there is a component to support also the parents.
That's
So
what I was going to ask,
Yes.
does it extend beyond the children?
It does. There's a parent enrichment piece of this, and once a month we'll meet with those parents and really help to support them. You know, parenting isn't easy. It doesn't come with a handbook.
Right. You don't get a book, do you?
No, you don't. But I'll let Ronnie share more about
Okay.
the program and our impact as I'm
All
Just
right.
Me movement.
Sure.
I'm just great that Krista chose us to be a part of it. Like Tina said, we both grew up in households that had trauma. Like for instance, my mom went to prison when I was like probably in the 9th, 10th grade, and not having her in my life at that point in time, basically I kind of defended myself, and I had to raise my brother and sister.
And she was just snatched away. I mean, it
happens. It
yeah.
happens just like just like that. So
Bang,
so you're growing up not really as a kid, but as a halfway adult.
Right.
and your life is kind of moving kind of fast forward, and fast forward in that. So having teachers, especially I think getting that mentor that I had in my life, kind of showed me a bigger picture. Kind of showed me, kind of built on some of the resiliency that was already in me,
Sure.
but just giving me more encouragement and empowerment how to move throughout life and not just being surviving in school. 'Cause I think sometimes you're surviving in school than you're actually trying to learn in school at this point in time. So I think this project, the Courage program is definitely where I see myself if I was a student. I wish I had that type of thing that was in our school that we can
Well,
actually.
it's probably helping you even now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it helps you
Those,
more.
it's what they say. You learn the most when you're teaching.
Or you teach what you continue to
learn.
want to learn.
Yeah.
And just to piggyback on some of what Rodney said, we know that there are students that are experiencing these things at home but are reluctant to share. So when you have a mentor and you can build up that trust, you're more likely to share those things that have been traumatic.
Sure.
And that's really where the work begins, where they can actually take hold of, yes, these things happened, but they don't define who I am. And I have a different way of doing things, and I have an opportunity to do that with support. So we're really honored to be able to have a collaborative effort to impact kids that have dealt with trauma, because we were those children, and we made it out as a result of adults and positive role models in our lives. Statistics show that 1 in 4 kids grow up without a positive mentor in their lives. But statistics also show that 131% of the time, the kids that grow up with mentors, they become leaders in our communities. And so that's what we want to do. We want to cultivate leaders, young people that can show their resilience despite some of those adverse childhood experiences. So I'll let Krista kind of talk more about Project Courage and Warren County Schools. We're really thankful
Right.
for this opportunity.
When did this start?
So the grant just started in July, and we got folks hired on and ready to go and geared up. And I think we've had 15 referrals to date. So if parents are hearing this and they're like, oh, that's a support I'd really like for my children, I'd like that for my family, they need to approach the school principals. So children who are eligible are kids who are at Skyline Middle, Warren County Middle, Brighter Futures, Diversified Minds. Those children are all eligible. And if children have gotten into some difficulties in school, behavioral difficulties, and they're referred to the Reflections program, those children, if they get 3 or more days in the out-of-school suspension program, are automatically, Tina is going to be working with that program as well to help provide supports, and we'll automatically take a look and see if we can help provide services for them. And I think, I agree with Tina, and the more work I do and the more I learn about trauma and the long-term impacts that has on people, I think I want everyone to know that we are all imperfectly perfect.
Exactly.
And that we are working to be the best versions of ourselves. And that's truly what I wish for all of the kids in this program. And I also wish that for their parents. Right. So I want everyone to be as well as they're willing to be, and hope they feel like this is not a place of judgment. I mean, trauma is difficult, but it's not that there's something horribly wrong with you or there's some shame because these things have happened to you.
Right.
It kind of is what it is. And we'd like to help you, be the best version of you. And when you look in the mirror in the morning, be like, you know what, I'm okay.
I'm okay.
And
But
that's important.
But we don't want to wait around till you've had this in your life for 10 years and then keep trying to deal with it by yourself when there's programs like this that reach out. And
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
And
it
we
seems
know
like it'd be difficult sometimes for you to find out about these things unless people kind of like self-examine themselves and reach out,
or they see through someone else's lived experiences that, wow, they made it through, I can too. But just to kind of go back to what you said in terms of parents, we know that the kids that we don't serve now and provide supports for will be most likely those kids that become adults and then still don't have those skills to pass on to their children. So generational change and stopping some of those generational cycles.
It creates that cycle.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we really, really believe in the work that we can do and have done through Project Courage. We really are excited to make a difference and to be those people that we didn't have growing up, so that those kids can have those people, I say those people, but mentors.
Sure.
And then they can
those
give
people.
then they can give on to their children and next generations.
Exactly.
We know that people can excel with support, and we need to stop some of the stigmas of I can't ask for help.
Exactly.
I can't tell my family
I'm
secrets.
tough. I can't cry. You know?
Right. These are all things that become barriers, because if you feel that you can't trust or be vulnerable, or if you feel that nobody understands me, I'm in this world alone.
I'm all by myself. Yeah, and so many people fit that picture.
They
Well,
really
these
do.
15 students you talk about, they're going to be your salesmen.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be, and they're going to look at it, and that's what happens. These young kids talk.
Yeah.
And they share their experiences more than you realize they do, because they trust their friends and their peers. And the word will get out, and you'll see this thing grow, I'm sure, because there's a lot more trauma out there than we really, than the average person kind of sees. You see it a lot more in your job, but I'm sure that the public really doesn't, we live in a little cocoon sometimes.
Everybody
We
got
have
their
our own
mask
little
on.
safe space.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with the opiate crisis that's hit the county so hard, I mean, many people are struggling, with opiate use disorders, and the families have been disrupted and all those things. And I would say, everyone matters. And everyone is worthwhile, even if they're not feeling like that right now. If you're a parent and you're struggling with an opiate use disorder and you just think you're a horrible person, that's not true. You're sick. We want to help support you and your children so that you can be well and that your children can be the best versions of themselves. So some of that fear and that guilt and shame that you're feeling because you're ill, we want to help your children and we want to support you, and you are worthwhile. And so please reach out. This is not about judging you, and I'm sorry, personally sorry that you're sick. And we want to help as best we can so that life does get better. And I think, we've seen people die. We've seen just families ripped apart by this crisis that has just overrun Warren County, and we're the number one leader, at least in the data, the 2016 data, for heroin arrests per capita across Virginia.
Yeah.
So it's huge here, and I work in the regional jail a couple of days a week, and I see families, and I see the struggle, and I see the pain for those parents, and they love their kids, and they want the best for their kids, and we do too. So, please, if that's a thing that's happening in your family, don't be ashamed to reach out. I 100% understand that you're sick. My staff understands that you're sick. Tina and Rodney understand that you're sick. There's not going to be any judgment. We are going to try to help your kids, and we're going to try to help you.
How's the easiest way to reach out? Really, you mentioned the principal at the school. Is that the best thing for parents to do, is to contact the schools and work that direction?
So we do have a process to this, and
the referrals are going to run through the school system. So they're going to run through the student support teams there, and that's how they're going to get the kids in. And then once we get them in, we'll make sure they're a fit for the program. And if they aren't, the Warren Coalition has other programs that are available to kids. So if they don't fit the exact guidelines that we need for Project Courage, we do have a project called Ease, and we also have a project called I'm Happy. So the kids might well fit into those if they don't fit into this. So we're not just going to go, sorry for your luck,
Too
you don't
bad.
fit here.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're not going to leave these kids stranded.
No, we are not.
We'll find some way to help.
Yes.
Yes.
And this is a very confidential. When you're you approach the principal, or however who's the person at the school system? Do you call the school board? I mean,
No,
what do they do?
They need to call the principal.
local school.
Or if they're not comfortable with the principal, they can contact the guidance counselor at the school, who
I was
can
gonna
help
say
make the referral. Who can make the referral up the
Because
line.
they're already trained what to do.
Exactly.
And
And
this
the
is very
school
confidential,
system-
so it's not going to be labeling their kids.
No, and the school systems here in Warren County actually have a very supportive. They call it a support team that really gets together with. It is a collaborative effort on the school's part, the parents and the teachers, and they have a meeting, and their support team really identifies, how we can best serve the young people in the schools. So the support team is amazing. I want to go back to the opioid crisis. A lot of kids that don't deal with don't deal with trauma, do turn to opioids and other ways to ease their pain. And I will tell you, I know that Krista shared that she is having outreach in the jails. Well, we also provide programs to the Northwestern Regional Juvenile Detention Center each Wednesday. 95% of those young people share that they've had adverse childhood experiences. They have had things that have impacted their lives in such a way that they cannot cope. And as a result, they look to other ways to cope. So I know that and I know that we're talking about the opioid crisis, but an equally concerning crisis is adverse childhood experiences and the inability for kids to get themselves unstuck. Did you want to share more about?
Oh no, I mean, just like what you and Krista saying, I just think that it's a great program to have because, like I said, if kids don't have anywhere to go, and when you're talking about school, which in my opinion, school shouldn't be like a failed place, because if you fail there in school, then what life actually offers you once you walk through those doors when you graduate. So I just think programs like this just don't help you as a youth. It helps you through your adult life and through your life as when you have kids on your own.
Right. Because you got to build on your life experiences.
Yes, you definitely have to build that. If you don't build on that, then you see a whole lot of crisis. I mean, it happened to a lot of people. Some people survive and some people don't. And it's very important that we can reach these young people at a very early age. I mean, hopefully we start reaching kids at the, like you said, the preschool level.
Preschool.
Because
I know there's always programs where they're screening. So I guess that's the word the school uses. We screen these students as they go through for all sorts of issues, health issues, trauma issues, education. I mean, there's a lot of things that want to give everyone. We use the word Head Start because that's what we're trying to do is give everybody a really good footing in life so they can be successful.
And if they have some roadblocks and challenges along the way, then that's just built into the fabric. It's okay because I have support. And I think that's just so important for these young people. Prevention is so important to have these things that can really help them at an early age with self-identity and just knowing that there will be roadblocks and challenges, but it'll be okay. They can make it through.
Well, we all know someone that could have benefited if they were a child. We all know someone that wishes they had that.
Oh yeah.
I think definitely having that, because being a parent, and just imagine if you didn't get that help, or and you're still dealing with your own trauma, and you're coping with your own trauma, and now you see that your child, going through the exact same thing. You don't really know how to deal with or cope with because nobody has never taught you the tools of how to cope. So how do you give that back to your child? And I think that's very important. That's why I'm glad that we do have, we can meet with parents and like Krista was saying, everything is okay. And, don't be ashamed, because we all need those tools and things that's going to benefit, that family. And I think that's the biggest thing, because you do have kids that go to school every day, and they're not going to tell you what's going on because, if you tell, you don't know what's going to happen.
What'd you learn at school today? Nothing.
Yeah.
Well, what'd you do today? Nothing.
Yes.
But we know darn well that's not true.
Yeah.
True. We are still looking for mentors. We definitely would appreciate anyone that's interested in becoming a mentor to please reach out. We provide training for those mentors, and they will actually have to do a background check, and the school is providing those at no charge. So I would ask anyone that's interested in becoming a mentor, please reach out. They can. I'm sure that you'll share the information at the bottom of this this piece. But it's so rewarding to see kids really acquire these tools and move forward in their lives, especially when they feel that all is lost. There is, like Krista said, they all matter, and we want to support.
When we lose hope, that's the worst thing in life is to lose hope.
Absolutely.
And so as long as we have that glimmer of hope, we can grab hold of that. And I think that's that's what this program gives people, and children especially, that hope that it's going to be okay.
Yeah, it's going to be okay.
I wish I had a Project Courage when I was growing up. I feel like...
Exactly. Well, all of us.
Yes.
Whether we're traumatized or not.
Yeah. I mean, I made it through, but I just feel like, wow. Like, if I had these resources, if I had someone to actually help my mother process through some of the things that she was dealing with, like how different would things have been for me?
Right. Our society has changed over the last 100 years. We've gone from an agricultural to an industrial, and the family is very mobile. I mean, now we got family all over the country. It used to be you lived next door to your mother, and your grandmother lived down the block, right?
Yes.
And now we're down to who knows where your family is, or even if they're still alive, because people rarely talk to these these families. Now we have, stepchildren and multiple stepchildren and single families and students being raised by grandparents now. And so these are all things that affect children. And like you say, some do it okay, but most need a little help.
Yeah.
There's a lot of disconnection there, and I think that the sense of who you are gets lost in that, because you aren't connected to your family the way they were back in the day, and kids need all the support that they can get to be successful. And middle school is such a hard time.
That is like when the hormones kick in, right?
And the
social media.
They grow from 4th grade to 5th grade. They grow about a foot.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I mean, it is such a hard time anyway, and if things have been difficult in your life, or there are, adverse things that are happening, it just makes it even harder. And I think I'm very, very excited about Project Courage. I was actually in a meeting. I was down at VCU in a focus group they were doing down there, and they're trying to create this kind of program. And somebody was talking, and I said, "Oh, we're doing that. We're actually doing what you're describing as you're saying that this is what this program needs to do. We are running that program right now in Warren County. It's up and going." They're like, "Well, how did you do that?" And so I was sharing that, but that was their description of what would be the perfect program to support kids. And I was like, yes, I'm one ahead of the game here, because, we had that vision, and the school did too, but how does this look? And we are really, really fortunate. I've been in this game for a long time, and I worked with lots of different school systems, and Warren County is so progressive and so about how do we help support kids? How do we get kids ready to learn? Let's look at this person as a whole child, and not just this one piece of I need to teach you 1 and 1 is 2. There's a lot more to you than 1 and 1 is 2. And if you're not emotionally ready to learn, you're not going to learn anything in the classroom. You're too busy worrying about what's happening at home, or how am I going to eat. And they do a spectacular job, and I brag on the system wherever I go around the state and nationally when I speak across the country, to say I am so fortunate that here's a system that is really trying to meet the child where they are as a whole child, and give them the best that they can give them. And we are very, very lucky in Warren County.
Well, I'm sure that is a something that the average parent and school age don't really realize then about our school system.
No.
Yeah.
That was something new that to me. I just seems, everybody just really thinks they just going through the motions and doing whatever the least they have to do. It seems like, doesn't it, sometimes?
Absolutely
But
not.
I do know I've talked to the superintendent several times, and there's a lot of programs and a lot of things going around.
Yeah.
And I was over at E. Wilson Morrison the other day when the First Lady came, First Lady of Virginia came,
Right.
and Pamela Northam, and the fact that you just take that little effort to reach out, and it's amazing how those kids really, gravitated to that exchange.
Yeah.
Even little preschoolers. One little called her grandma. But that's part of this reaching out to a loving face. They wanted that. I mean, and little kids they didn't know governor from president. But they gravitated to that. So it was really good. But how about the program you said starts at middle school? These trauma events happen to kids younger than that. What's the program for them? Or is that coming next?
Well, I can't speak for Warren County, but I will tell you that I'm Just Me Movement has programs starting really in preschool with self-identity, accepting others and their differences. Is it okay to be different? Yes. Can you be friends with people that are different? Yes. So we really focus on the inclusion and diversity part of it, and really accepting people, not tolerating people, because I don't like to use that word, but really accepting people for who they are. So kids learn really, really early on.
Kids learn really young. Nothing. If you stick them on a playground, 3 and 4 years old, they don't see color, they don't see race, they don't see anything. That's my friend.
But
and you've seen all that through history,
Yes.
and the little kids. That's great. I mean, no matter whether they can speak the language or not, they can adapt to it.
Absolutely. And so I'm Just Me Movement actually has an I'm Just Me workshop that focuses on 4 components: self-identity, roadblocks and challenges. We talk about living life forward. And we also really focus on things happen when you're young. How did you feel about that? Having kids be connected with their emotions. I felt this way because not someone did this, so we really want them to be connected with their whole, as Krista said, we want them to be connected as a whole person, to realize that they are who they are. They can accept others and their differences. They will be faced with obstacles and challenges, but they can overcome them.
You can do it.
You can do it. So we actually have those programs in place. And, I can't speak for Krista, but I know that they do have Project Positive is one of those programs.
Yes.
Yeah, and we have programs. We've been working in the preschools for a number of years now with a program called Halo. And it's similar to what Tina is describing in Warren County. So I was teaching 5 preschool classes a week and starting that early. But in answer to the rest of the question, we have different things going. So we've had the middle school teachers go through training on adverse childhood experiences and the impacts and what that looks like in the classroom. We're getting ready to go down for a training called Getting Relationships Right, which is another one that you would help provide. How do we build those relationships in the schools starting early? And then if we get another cycle of this grant that we got coming out, so say they fund it again next year, we'll go younger. But the school system identified the toughest transition period for kids is going into the middle school and then preparing for high school. So that's where they wanted to start, because that's where they see a lot of the difficulties happening.
Yeah, there's a strategic plan on how to really.
Let's go ahead. If we can help it, that's going to be the biggest impact that you can start with.
And where they start to see kids really start to struggle.
And see the results quicker, and to see, and that helps it grow.
Right.
Yeah, and I think we're in a time now where it's not just mentoring. Let's go out for ice cream. How was your day? How was your week? Great. I was so glad to see you today. Let's see each other next week. We have really moved from mentoring to really critical mentoring. And there is a difference with critical mentoring, with the opioid crisis and all the things that kids face. Negative peer pressure. We really have some things in place to be able to have a counter solution to that through Project Courage. And I'm really, really excited.
Well, I can see the impact that this will have on parents. These children will have an impact that they can see it and give the parents hope, I think, as well. And nothing worse than being discouraged. It's like the worst thing. We can learn skills, we can do all this thing, but it's that between your ears and that attitude that you have on life makes a huge difference. What they always say, Zig Ziglar says, your attitude affects your altitude.
Yes.
So it is so true, so true.
And we share our lived experiences as kids that came up in those kind of conditions, but we also share how we had parents that were equally traumatized and did not have the skills to give, and that really helps parents with us sharing our candid stories and how we had parents that were struggling, but to come to that compassionate point where we can say they did the best they could do with what they had. And that's what parents are trying to do. I really feel that all parents are really trying to do the best with what they have. And maybe they don't have this.
Well, this gives them extra tools now that they didn't know was available.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
it's exciting.
It is exciting. So I really appreciate you coming in, and I'm sure we'll get back together again here in the future and talk about some more results maybe that have happened as we get closer to the school year. So I'm going to put all the information about the website so people will have a little more information. Just look at the bottom of the story. You'll see the website you can go to, the contact information, et cetera, et cetera. But don't hesitate. If you feel like this is something that, even if you don't know for sure, reach out. And they'll be here to help you. All right?
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
I appreciate it. Nice meeting you all.
Thank
you. And we'll get together here again soon, okay?
Okay.
I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.